welcome to our Fintech and Blockchain course. Today we will be discussing on Fintech in other financial services. In particular, I will be talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning as a foundation of financial technologies. Because of those technologies, Fintech startups can offer better services and products to the customers, and this has become the main competitive advantage compared to traditional banks. So let's get stuck in. From our previous discussions, we know that through fintech, consumers will get more choice, they will be better targeted, and they will also get products with better pricing as well. And because of the fintech, small and medium-sized business will also get access to new credit. Banks will become more productive with lower transaction costs. They will also be having greater capital efficiency and encourage them to have a stronger operational resilience. And because of this, the financial system itself will become much more resilient compared to what it was before. And more importantly, financial services will be more inclusive. People will be better connected. They will be more informed and increasingly empowered. Those are the promise of fintech startups, according to Mark Carney from the Bank of England. Based on our previous discussions, we also know that fintech has some sort of disruptive power. And fintech has revolutionized the financial industry by changing the way consumers interact with banks. Technology in general, in this case, usually has an established and long history of flashes of disruption. So since 1980s, 1990s, we know that technology has disrupted the financial industry. And it has become an infinite ingenuity with multitude of examples ranging across many facets of business and social life as well. And we can define disruption as a process whereby a smaller company with less resources is able to successfully challenge established incumbent businesses. An example of disruptive is Amazon, because Amazon has successfully disrupted the publishing industry. Uber has been successfully disrupt the taxi business. Airbnb has successfully challenged the hotel industry. The same goes with the fintech as well. And we know that technological innovation such as cash machines or ATMs has enabled the explosive growth of retail finance, especially during the era of 1980s and 1990s. And nowadays, with the emerging technologies and stuff like that, the pressure to meet the changing needs of the business is also increasing. Why? Because nowadays data growth is massive. Companies want more data to be protected. They want everything to be secure. And time required for backup the data is also expanding. Previously, backup was conducted by using tape, but we know that tapes is very unreliable and has poor performance. And if we want to use virtual machine, then there will be another new challenge for companies. We also have to deal with increasing volume of data at remote offices, and more data stored locally on desktop and laptops. This will make backups and synchronizations quite challenging. Previously, if we want to back up the data, we have to, as I mentioned in the previous slide, we have to put it on a tape or on a disk. And then we put the tape or the disk into a safe location. And usually we should move tapes offsite for disaster recovery, and this process will be quite inefficient and very slow. The process is also tedious because it involves multi-step recovery process, and there are also risks of losing the data and theft during the transit. And because of this, data is technically very difficult to recover. So what is machine learning? Machine learning is a method of data analysis that automates analytical model building. It is a branch of artificial intelligence based on the idea that systems can learn from data, that systems can identify patterns, and that the system can make decisions with very minimum human intervention. This has been possible because of at least 4 reasons. The first one is the increasing computing power in the last couple of years, as well as the rise of GPU, or graphics processing units. Also, we are now enjoying the growth of big data. And because of this, artificial intelligence and machine learning has advanced very significantly. And other than that, we also have to thank to open source community, because at this moment there are lots of choices if we want to use open source software. These reasons will enable the growth of machine learning much more significantly in the next couple of years. To simplify things, we can divide machine learning into 3 different areas. The first one is supervised learning. The second one is unsupervised learning, and the third one is reinforcement learning. In supervised learning, we can use the computer or the system to classify data and to do some sort of regression analysis. In unsupervised learning, we can use the machine to do clustering and to do dimensionality reduction analysis. And in reinforcement learning, we can use machine learning to do things like making real-time decisions, robotic navigation, learning tasks, skill acquisitions, and game and entertainment using artificial intelligence. This is the area where machine learning will soon exceed our human intelligence. So this is an example of clustering. In clustering, basically, you will cluster the data into the red one and the yellow one. In classification, we will distinguish data, or we will categorize the data, whether it is plus or whether it is minus. In regression, we will use our data set so that we can use this to do some sort of forecasting and simulation. What will happen in the future and things like that if we put this variable and that variables. And this is an example of another analysis based on the input data. We can do analysis like nearest neighbors, linear SVM, RBF SVM, decision tree analysis, random forest analysis, neural network, and naive bias. We can do many different things using the data set that we have at this moment, thanks to the 4 main reasons that I described just a moment ago, like the increasing power of computing and GPU, the rise of open source software, the availability of big data, and so on and so forth. This is also another things that we can do through machine learning. We can use a single layer structure, we can use 2-layer structure, or 3-layer structure. We can analyze the data based on the decision that we want, or the problem that we have, or the region that we want to analyze. We can also use machine learning to analyze not only numbers, but also text. In this case, we can use several data from the text, like if we want to analyze news from the media, or if we want to analyze annual report of a company or things like that, we can collect the data, put the stop list, lemmatization, stemming, VSM, TFM, TF, IDF, and so on and so forth. And then from there, we can classify the data, we can use dimensionality reduction, we can extract the information, we can summarize the data, and then cluster the data into a visualization and reporting. So what are the software or application that we use? In order to do a proper machine learning, we will require data sources and then data warehouse, and we will need something to discover the data, and then we will use data mining. After that, after calculating or processing the data, we will visualize it to present the data, and finally, we will make a decision based on our analysis. There are many software that we can use from for example, the very simple one is Microsoft Excel that I am sure you are very familiar with. But we can also use IBM Statistica, Alteryx, R, which is an open source and very popular. And then Python, another programming language, open source and also very popular in data analysis, RapidMiner, Tableau, SAS, and so on and so forth. This has become the foundation of machine learning. In machine learning, we begin with materials that we have, and then we process it into data mining activities. We acquire the data, we mine the data, we do some sort of statistic regression. And from there, we move to the rule induction. We use inference models, we use machine learning, we cluster the data, we build our knowledge base. And then from there, we move on to the knowledge integration and knowledge formalization. At this moment, if we think that the data is not enough, then we can also add another sources like another documents through text mining, and then we combine it into our knowledge formalization stage. And then finally, we will move on to the decision support, in which we will make decision based on the analysis that we have done. So what about artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence can be defined as science and engineering of making intelligent machines, especially intelligent computer programs. It is related to the similar task of using computers to understand human intelligence, but AI does not have to confine itself to methods that are biologically observable. It is the definition from John McCarthy, an expert on artificial intelligence. IBM defined artificial intelligence as a field which combines computer science and robust datasets to enable problem solving, while Wikipedia defined artificial intelligence as intelligence demonstrated by machine that is different to natural intelligence displayed by humans and animals that involves consciousness and emotionality. And the distinction between natural intelligence and artificial intelligence is that revealed in the acronym chosen, natural versus artificial. That's the definition according to Wikipedia. Artificial intelligence is an extension of machine learning. There are two different approaches, human approach and ideal approach. Human approach means that our system should think like humans and act like humans. But in ideal approach, it means that artificial intelligence should think rationally and should act rationally. That's the difference between human approach and ideal approach. The key components of AI consist of input data, processing algorithm, and output decision. In data, it can be historical, it can be real-time, it can be knowledge. In processing algorithm, as I said in the previous slides, we can use supervised learning, we can also use unsupervised learning, or we can also use reinforced learning. And the output can be different. We can focus on the result, we can also enable the system to provide selection of result, or we can also ask them to do something on our behalf. And this is the step through the artificial intelligence. Usually we start from the left, which is basic automation. And then after that, we move on to the robotic process automation. We then move on to the enhanced process automation, and then to the algorithmic automation. And finally, we will have our complete artificial intelligence. In this stage, we will be having full cognitive technology that are capable of emulating human capability. And we will have full autonomy. We will have a system that capable of hypothesizing, reasoning, performing deep learning, and deep neural networks. So I don't want to make you confused, but this is the distinction between artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. Deep learning and machine learning are subfields of artificial intelligence, and deep learning is actually a subfield of machine learning. Deep learning is actually comprised of neural network. Why does it called deep? Because it refers to a neural network comprised more than 3 layers. It can be 4, 5, 6, and so on and so forth. And it can be inclusive of the inputs and the output, and this that we call a deep learning algorithm. So deep learning is the core of machine learning. Deep learning is composed of algorithm that allows software to train itself to perform something like image recognition, speech recognition by exposing different neural network to vast amount of data. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. It will include statistical techniques or mathematical analysis that enable machine to improve at tasks with experience. So along the way, our machine learning will be smarter and smarter. And artificial intelligence can be defined as any technique that enable our system to mimic human intelligence using logic, if-then algorithm, decision trees, and machine learning, as well as deep learning. So what is neural network? Neural network looks like this. We will be having our input layer. We will also have our hidden layer that can be 3, 4, 5, or whatever. The more hidden layer that we have, usually the output will be much more accurate. Neural network in this picture consists of 3 hidden layers, and every circle will have its own virtual neuron, which receive, process, and submit information to the next layer. The connection between the neurons are called virtual synapses. And by optimizing this connection, we will be having an accurate prediction through our neural network. So for example, we have lots of data like this. We have age, we have gender, we have ethnicity, we have race, we have type of admission, emergency department, risk of mortality, severity of illness, number of associated condition, number of associated diagnosis, comorbidity status, weekend admission, hospital type, income quartile, transferred from outside hospital, and bias term. And we will be having 3 hidden layer here. And then on the right-hand side, we will make decision whether this person will be having arthroplasty or not, whether we will be having surgery or not. We analyze those data, we put them into our neural network, and by using the algorithm on that neural network, the system will give us information whether this particular person or this particular patient should be given or should not be given a surgery. As I said in the previous slide, the more data that we give to the system, then the prediction will be much more accurate. So along the way, the system will get smarter and smarter and smarter, and the prediction will be increasing in terms of accuracy. So let's coming back to the robotic process automation, because sometimes people mistake artificial intelligence with robotic process automation. In robotic process automation, or RPA, we use a software robot or bot that replicates the action of a human to execute tasks across multiple computer systems. Deloitte says that a minute of work for a robot is equal to about 15 minutes of work for a human. Robotic is predicted, according to Accenture, to automate or eliminate up to 40% of transactional accounting work by 2020. So for example, if you are using digital apps, or if you are going to a particular website, sometimes there will be chatbots that act as a personal contact. Those kind of things are also part of this kind of robotic process automation. Now, we can use robotic process automation in different stages of the company, like in controlling process, in enforcing rules, in automating communication, like what I said just a moment ago, to provide reminders, to manage our resources, to perform data entry, to collect data, and to ask for input for review or approval. We can use it for example, for data entry, for GL coding, for vendor interaction, for managing payments, and then document review and approval, process management and controls, and so on. Indeed, the benefit of automated data entry is quite significant, because according to the report, we can use RPA for managing our invoice, for managing our purchase requests, purchase orders, and this will also eliminate double entry. It will eliminate error as well. And the benefit obviously will increase our efficiency. It will reduce our mistake. It ensures the compliance and accountability. It can be implemented very quickly, and usually users will be much more satisfied. Now, robotic process automation can also be implemented in different area of the company, for example, from the financial operation, and then to the accounting close and consolidation, to the external financing reporting, to business performance management, to planning, budgeting, forecasting, to risk and compliance management, treasury and investment, tax management, specialty services, as well as to financial administration. So there are many applications of machine learning in a company, and this kind of services are being served by startup companies focusing on the implementation of machine learning and artificial intelligence in the area of finance. So what are the specificities of application of machine learning and artificial intelligence in finance? We can use from basic automation, robotic process automation, enhanced process automation, algorithmic automation, to a full artificial intelligence. For example, automation can be done using technology to integrate our cash position from bank A to bank B. Every single day, they have to consolidate the data and so on and so forth. And this can be done through the implementation of financial technology. By automating the process, it can be done very quickly as well. And robotic process automation can be used to suggest investment action when we are being presented several options or several alternatives that we can take. And we can use financial technology to automatically execute the transaction through our defined parameters. Enhanced process automation can be used in remittance. We can send remittance through PDF, for example, for optical readings, and then the process will replace human entry or human physical association. We can also use algorithmic automation to automate forecasting to find the best hedge across different legal structure, using the data that we have, including our financial position, options, futures, and so on and so forth. We can also use it for treasury, like we can use natural language query if we want to interact with a bank portal and stuff like that. And finally, we can use artificial intelligence to collect data. We can predict human behavior. We can also use the data to increase the rate of our collection requests. Those are the implementation of machine learning in the area of finance. More importantly, nowadays, fintech companies are moving towards robo-advisor management. So basically, they use the system, they use the machine learning, the algorithm, and stuff like that to help us manage our investment. Algorithm gives us a low-cost advice to retail investor because they have lots of data. The cost of doing this is increasingly becoming cheaper because of the economies of scale, economies of scope, and stuff like that. And finally, because of this, investor can have the right strategy according to their risk preference. And it is now being adopted not only by the retail investors, but also institutional investors as well. And the implication is that there will be changes in the asset management industry, in investment banking sector, because many smaller asset management companies now in the risk of bankrupt. They are unable to compete with large companies that already invest in machine learning and big data. This is the thing that we also have to anticipate. And other than that, there are also many research on other area of financial services, like in crowd lending, in equity crowdfunding and reward-based crowdfunding, in risk and regulation, social trading platform, Robo-advisor that I just shown you in the previous slide, and then mobile payment and e-wallet services. And to conclude our initial discussion, we can say that fintech has a joint hybrid nature, represent a union between financial services and information technology. We have been discussing about this several times in our previous sessions. Fintechs will challenge the paradigm, especially in the traditional way of offering financial services. The area of financial payment services that are being affected by fintech can be not only from peer-to-peer lending or payments that we discussed in the previous session, but it can also be implemented in cryptocurrencies, in wealth management, in crowdfunding, in aggregation services, and so on and so forth. Fintech will also span various areas of law, including finance, technology, tax, compliance, IP, intellectual property, M&A, merger and acquisition, corporate governance, and so on and so forth. And the market is increasing very rapidly. It is expected to reach at least 300 billion US dollar in the next 3 to 4 years, because the market is very attractive for investors and venture capital. And there are many low-cost services available, and it will increase consumers' demand. And after the pandemic, we learned that during the pandemic, we learned that it is very easy, it is very convenient to do our financial services through fintech. So it is expected that this area will grow in the next couple of years. So that's all for now. I look forward to see you very soon. Stay safe and stay healthy. Bye.